Welcome back to Grid Drop. Today we're here with some more Assetto Corsa racing in Monza for round 5 of the Championship Series. If you haven't seen the last video, I'll link that in the corner of the video right now. That was episode 4, racing in MAYHEM. Kind of a bad race, unfortunately. Had a little bit of contact halfway through and sort of just had to make up for lost time for the rest of the race. But hopefully looking for a better recovery in Monza. Obviously, super famous tracks, the Temple of Speed in Italy. So we're definitely going to be hoping for a good race here for such an iconic track. But using this free practice session now, just kind of tweak the setup of the car. Obviously it's Monza, so I'm running 0 on the rear wing, 0 on the front splitter. Mostly just kind of playing around with tire pressures and the anti-roll bars, especially for chicanes and corners like the Parabolica, kind of long-winded corners where you want to keep the grip and avoid having big bouts of understeer or oversteer. But I feel like I found a pretty good setup, and as soon as I say that, having kind of a big moment on the curbs. Luckily not really setup related, just took a little bit too much curb on the inside, so hopefully we can avoid that for qualifying and the race. But speaking of qualifying, here we are. Definitely going to have to wait a little bit, let some cars go past. You want to be kind of in the slipstream of other cars around Monza just because of the nature of the circuit. But coming out right now, I'm going to be behind this Audi. 10-minute qualifying session like it's been for the rest of the series. Like I've mentioned before, stakes are very high in qualifying. If you invalidate a lap or crash or just have a slow lap overall, you're really going to pay the price, just because with only 10 minutes, you can't do that many laps around here. So one invalidated lap or one bad lap time means your chances of having a good time in qualifying definitely get exponentially slimmer. But speaking of which, 5 minutes left in the session. Completing our first flying lap, we set a 1:52.4. Puts us in 7th place, which is not really where we want to be. Earlier in the season, we were fighting for pole positions. We did get pole in, I believe, Spain. And Brands Hatch as well. I believe we had pole in Brands Hatch. So, yeah, definitely should be a little bit higher up the list. Unfortunately, last time out in Maizana, we were disqualified for qualifying. So, definitely a better result to at least bank in some times now. Second flying lap now, setting a 1:52.2, puts us in 9th place. Unfortunately, not really improving by the amount I want to improve. Definitely have some more pace in the car. Lots of oversteer on the exit right there. I am struggling a little bit with oversteer on these corners, going way too wide, taking way too much curb on the exit. That's a huge spin in qualifying. With only 2 minutes remaining, that's going to be tight to get to the line. Luckily avoided the wall there, so no damage on the car as far as I know. But that was definitely a little too close for comfort. We'll see a replay right here in a second. Just took way too much curb on the exit right there. You can see that huge kick of oversteer right there on the corner beforehand, but definitely just missed the apex. I braked a little bit too late, missed the apex, hit the exit curb. I kind of a weird angle, trying to get myself back on the track, and it just sent me into a spin. Tried to overcorrect it, which was a mistake. You can see right here, snapping the wheel to the left, and luckily we could keep it out of the wall. That was very close. If we went into that slide just 10 or 12 feet later, we probably would have hit the wall and had some type of damage to the car. It would have been too serious, but at least some type of damage. So this is our next flying lap. Unfortunately, getting stuck behind some traffic and hit the braking zone perfectly, but the guys in front were a little bit too slow. So that's going to be it for qualifying. We're going to be in 16th position. Not great. Like I said, we were fighting for poles early in the season, but it is Monza, so there's a lot of potential, especially on the run down into turn 1 on lap 1. There's a lot of potential to overtake a huge amount of cars, so not really too concerned about that. But yeah, 16th on the grid for Monza, not ideal, but we're going to have to make it work. Here we go, in double file, ready for the rolling start. Definitely going to time it right with the green lights. Once we're green flag running, I really want to get a good start. That'll definitely give us a huge opportunity to pass a lot of cars into turn 1, and that's definitely what we need starting from 16th on the grid. So hopefully we can make something work into turn 1. Definitely going to be pretty sketchy though, heading down there. So we should be green lights in any second now. And we are racing in Monza. Really, really good start. Definitely got the jump on that Mercedes in front. Switching back now to the inside of this BMW. That's 2 more cars. That's 4 cars already overtaken off this start. Really have some overspeed on these guys in front. That's almost 6 cars now sticking to the inside behind this NSX in the slipstream, taking to the grass up the inside. Hopefully we can make a move on this NSX into the chicane here. Really, really tight. Jumping over the curb there, making a little bit of contact with this Porsche. Coming back now, the Porsche gets spun out. We make contact with that all right on the inside, but luckily we get through that unscathed. Unfortunately, kind of a big gap to the cars in front now, just based on that, contact in the first chicane. But the hardest part of the race is over. Turn 1 at Monza, as we've made it through. So definitely going to try to catch up to these guys in front now. Going to use the braking zones to our advantage. These guys are going to be going a little bit slowly. They're side by side, really going slowly through here. Definitely making up a ton of time. A little bit of contact, it looks like, with that Ferrari. Unfortunately, can't really go for a move right there. He covers off the inside. Maybe we can stick it around the outside here. Unfortunately, getting a little wide at the apex, not really hitting that corner properly. And that's going to, unfortunately, just kind of allow us to tuck in right behind this Ferrari. But luckily, 7 places made up. Actually, more than 7 places. Almost nine places made up off the start. We're going to see a replay right here. Had a really good jump on these guys in front. Taking to the grass, very shaky. Definitely a sketchy move. But you can see we have to cut the curb right here, going across the curb. And then this is where the contact between that Audi and that Porsche happens. Unfortunately, we were just kind of stuck behind there. Not really anywhere we could go. You can see it in slow-mo here. I don't really think this is necessarily my fault. I don't think I could really have driven any differently there. Unfortunately, just had to take the contact with that Audi. It was his fault for making contact with the Porsche, so we just had to kind of barge on through and hope we didn't crash out. But luckily, we made it out okay. Whoa, pretty chaotic start. A lot of oversteer, which is going to compromise our exit and unfortunately our straight line speed as well. Luckily, these guys in front are still going to kind of battle it out. I'm sure they're going to be braking a little bit earlier than I am, so we can probably make up that time rather quickly. Hopefully we can be shooting to overtake this Ferrari probably this lap or next lap. It looks like the gap right here is probably about half a second. Yeah, we'll see right here. Yeah, 4/10 is the gap to the Ferrari in front. Definitely going to make up a lot of time in this braking zone. I've noticed I make up a ton of time through here, really making up a lot of time right there as I switch to the inside last second, side by side through the chicane, and luckily we have the Ferrari behind us. That was a very late move. I didn't expect to make up that much time in the braking zone with that Ferrari, but that's definitely welcome, and I'm glad we could make that one stick. Man, that move felt pretty good. You can see a replay, turn 1 and 2 here. And that's pretty lucky to have no contact as well. Luckily, we both gave each other enough space, and we can seal 6th position. So now all eyes on this Audi in front. Hopefully, we can go for a move sometime soon on this guy. They're still a little bunched up together in front, so if we can, gain some time through some of these braking zones, we can definitely look at some type of move. A yellow flag behind us in the chicane to see what happened here. This is the NSX. I believe that we passed on the run down into turn 1, almost on the grass right there. He gets spun out by another NSX behind. And it looks like he might be stuck here for a second because he's going to get more cars coming, and he makes some contact. A little smooch with him in the BMW right there. And hey, he looks like he's going to be out of the race. He'll probably be teleported back to the pit lane. But back to our race. Luckily, that didn't happen in front of us. We don't really have to worry about it. Just pretty interesting to see that happen. Like I said, all eyes on the Audi in front. I've sort of been kind of just taking a breather behind these guys, seeing what their pace is like and seeing where I can gain time and where I'm losing time. So I've noticed through the turn 1 chicane, I'm gaining time. Through this past braking zone, I'm gaining time. Through these corners, since they're kind of medium speed right-handers, I'm not as good as keeping the grip that these guys are. So unfortunately, losing a little bit of time. You can see dropping back a little bit right there. But luckily, with a good exit and a slipstream, you can pretty much gain that time back right away. So it's that's so far the only corner I've noticed that I really lose time. But yeah, like I said, you make it back pretty much right away. So not really too much to be concerned about right there. Coming through the Ascari chicane, pretty good run through here. This is where I took a lot of curb on that run in free practice, and that's where we had that kind of big moment. But definitely gaining on this Audi in front. The slipstream is super effective out here. Switching to the inside now. Going to be a drag race down into the Parabolica. Hopefully we can late brake here and just keep it right in front. Looks like we're going to a little bit of contact. He turns in at the last second. That's been happening a lot lately. I don't know why the AI keep doing that. They just turn in whenever they feel like it. They don't really care about what the player's doing, but that's all right. Water under the bridge. We made that move work. Unfortunately, he's going to be right on our ass right now at the main straight. Definitely going to be in the slipstream. He should have a lot of overspeed on us, just given the slipstream effect. And it looks like he might not go for a move here. He definitely could have gone for a dive down the inside, but I guess he decided against it. So that is 5th position now, solidified. Past the Ferrari, past the Audi, and we're up into the top 5, which is definitely a great start. We're 5 laps in, green in the Delta right now. So far, most of the laps have been getting progressively faster, obviously, now that the race has opened up. More space in the braking zone, less fighting, side by side with cars. and hopefully we can get these two guys next. So another good exit here. Very important to you know, be very precise on the throttle. If you put a little too much throttle right there, you're gonna kind of go into a weird oversteery thing, and when you're using the exit curve, the oversteer kind of just kicks you out wide, and you just end up in the gravel. So very important to get a good exit there, as well as, you know, it sets you up for a good run through that back straight, where you definitely need speed. Speed is king around here, so mostly just focusing on getting good exits, and that should kind of set you up for the rest of the race. But finishing lap 5 just about now. Unfortunately, red in the Delta. I think had kind of a bad run through the Ascari chicane, but not really all too much is lost. We're still pretty close behind these guys, under a second gap to this Lamborghini in front, which is good. And hopefully we can go for a move potentially into turn 1, maybe next lap, sometime around there. But the pit window has opened. Probably going to be pitting around 15 minutes. But that's if the rest of the race goes, you know, according to plan. So about to enter the braking zone now into turn 1. It looks like we're gaining a lot of time. The Lamborghini goes up the inside, kind of an ambitious move. I don't think he had that much room to work with. He's going wide on the exit, and that's inviting us right into the slipstream of this Lamborghini. He's lost a lot of time through there. We're going to switch to the inside now, a little bit tight, sticking to the inside right there. Going to have to force him a little bit wide and see if we can make him just kind of lose some grip right there. Looks like we're pretty cleanly past him now, even potentially going for a move up the inside of this R8, but I think we're just a little bit too far back. Missing the first apex, hitting the second one nicely. A lot of oversteer on the exit, and that's going to invite the Lamborghini right back into this fight. So we had him into the braking zone of turn 4, but it looks like he's going to switch to the inside now, and luckily we can cover him off. He's going to definitely go for a move into this corner as well. We're going to push him all the way to the inside of the track, kind of compromise his line, use a lot of the inside curb there, and he should be covered off pretty effectively right there. But unfortunately, with that little battle with that Lamborghini, losing almost a full second to this Audi in front, or actually just a little bit over a second to the Audi in front. So definitely bled some time with that little battle, but luckily we could keep him behind. But that puts us in 4th position, so definitely made up a lot of places so far this race. Kind of a sketchy entrance to the Ascari chicane right there, using a little bit too much of the inside curb on the second corner run through there, but luckily not too much of an incident. So I think we're going to be looking at potentially pitting this lap, probably just going to follow what this Audi does in front. If he pits, I think I'm going to pit as well, so we'll have to see what he does here. The Lamborghini's looking a little bit feisty behind right now, and the Audi does pit, so we're going to come into the pit lane as well. I just want to follow him and see what kind of time we lose through the pit stop. So I know that we're about a second behind him right now, and wow, that was pretty close. This guy right on my ass. All right, but yeah, I know that we're going to be about a second behind this Audi, so if we come out, you know, 2 seconds behind, I know we lost a second to the pit stop. I have mentioned it in previous videos, but I can't map the button on my wheel to turn the engine off in the pit stop, which is quite annoying. So you do end up losing, you know, a little bit of time every single time you pit, but what can you do? So looking backwards now, you can see that Audi was the one we were following, and this is the one that was right on our ass in the pit lane entry, sorry. And he is well clear past us now. So I'm assuming it's probably going to be about a 3 or 4 second gap once we exit. Exiting the pits now, the Audi is out of frame. He has definitely jumped us in the pit lane by a couple seconds. So gonna have to put in some good lap times now, and hopefully we can catch up to these guys in front. We'll see the gap in a second here. And yeah, about a 3.5 second gap to the Audi in front. So probably lost about 3 seconds total in that pit stop. Unfortunately, 6 second gap to the Audi in front of him. So not really too sure how that's possible. I was about a second behind him. I don't know. I think maybe that Audi behind had a slow pit stop as well. But definitely going to put in some good laps now. And yeah, just utilize the corner exits. Obviously, that's kind of the best advice you can get for driving around Monza. Just hit the apex nicely. Be careful with the you know, how you put the power down, and if you get a good exit, you're set up for a really good straight with a lot of speed. So passing the cars in the pit lane now into P12. There's an Acura NSX exiting the pits as well. He's going to be coming into turn 1 at the same exact time as me. Have to use the outside. Luckily, that turns into the inside. Going to force him a little bit wide, still giving him enough racing room, and luckily we can make it through turn 1 and 2 without any contact with that NSX. That was probably the worst place he could have come out, just for my own timing's sake, but luckily, you know, got through there without any problems. So pretty annoying. Hopefully that doesn't happen the next lap next time around into turn 1 and 2. But we will have to see when we get there, which we are right now. So skipping ahead, completing that lap, onto lap 9 now, passing more cars in the pit lane. That puts us into P8, passing more cars on the pit exit. P6 is going to be our final pit lane passer count. So unfortunately losing 2 positions total. Luckily no one overcut us in the pit lane, so just stuck behind these 2 Audis again. But overall, not too bad. Just gotta, power on, set some good lap times. You could see there on the top left, we were 7/10 up after turn 1 and 2. So obviously that's as a result of going side by side with that NSX through turn 1 and 2. But yeah, so we should be really, really positive in the Delta right now. It's more of just a typical lap than a fast lap, but yeah, about a 1.1 seconds up in the green. And hopefully we can start closing in on these guys. The gap is shrinking to the Audi in front. He's 2.1 seconds ahead. And last time we checked, he was about 3.5 seconds ahead after that side-by-side stuff with the NSX. So definitely gaining some time. On lap 9 now, going to be switching right here to lap 12. So definitely gained a lot of time to the Audi in front. Making up a lot of time to that braking zone as per usual. And sort of a sketchy exit right there. Kind of going a little bit wide, having just sort of a weird line through turn 1 and 2, but luckily that won't be too detrimental to the timing. But yeah, he's about a second in front now. Hopefully we can capitalize on this, potentially go for a move, maybe next lap, sometime around there, unless he has some type of mistake or incident. But pretty much nailing these apexes perfectly, modulating the throttle perfectly as well, no wheel spin on the exit, no oversteer, and just really have to set a good lap. Unfortunately, still somehow 2/10 down in the Delta there, so losing some time through corners. I'm not really too sure exactly where, but it's somewhere. So pretty good exit right here. Going to be pretty close to getting an effective slipstream on this back straight now. We should be pretty close on the next straight if we can get a good run through this Ascari chicane, which is coming up here momentarily. So hopefully a good run through here will bring us a lot closer. So 5/10 back right now, looking at the braking point, standing on the brakes, really cutting across, using a lot of the inside curb, sticking to the inside curb, switching back to the left now, using the curb right there, and most importantly using the exit curb on the end of that chicane. So that cut off a couple tenths to this Audi in front. Definitely got a better run through there than he did. So 3/10 behind now. Unfortunately, just a little bit too far back to go for a move into Parabolica, but hopefully a good run through here will set us up for a good run on the straight, and we'll be in the slipstream and could maybe go for a move into turn 1. It looks like he might have pulled away a little bit, but luckily that slipstream is definitely going to come into effect, and we should be a lot closer once we get to the braking zone. So kind of a bad run from me right there going through Parabolica, but luckily it's not too big of a deal. But 2/10 behind this Audi now, definitely gained a lot of time in the slipstream. Entering the braking zone now, going up the inside, standing on the brakes. I don't really know if we're going to be able to make this one work. Definitely go way too far in over our heads right there. Have to cut across the middle of the track onto the gravel a little bit, and we're going to let the Audi slide right back through. So unfortunately, just kind of outbraking myself right there. Definitely is potential to get this guy though. Unfortunately, he's going to be probably the last car we can overtake this race, but that just showed us that we're close enough to go for a move here. So gaining some time in this braking zone, getting a lot of time in this braking zone right on his rear bumper now. Hitting these apexes nicely, going to hopefully avoid some oversteer. You can see a little wiggle of the back end right there, and unfortunately that's going to lose us some time. Usually losing some time through these corners as well, so I'm not really too concerned if we're a little bit too far back after this corner, but luckily, like I said before, we'll make up that time back on this straight right here. So into the slipstream yet again. Luckily a nice exit through that last corner, and we are definitely going to be gaining time on this straight. Looking to the inside a little bit, definitely going to be a little bit too far back. It'll be a pretty sketchy move to dive up the inside. Braking a little bit earlier than I normally would. Unfortunately, understeering a little bit past that apex, using that inside curb. I have to cut pretty hard across this left curb. And now onto the straight. We're definitely gaining time compared to this Audi. Really using this slipstream, getting really close to his back bumper now. We're going to switch, I think, to the inside right here, and it's going to be a drag race down into Parabolica. Hopefully we can late brake, get this move done, maybe force him wide and see if he can understeer out of the way. If he's on that outside line, he might not have the grip to keep up with us, and it looks like we're going to get this move done onto the main straight now, exiting Parabolica, and that should be job done. And that one felt pretty damn good, if I'm going to be honest. That was a nice little fight to catch up with that guy over the course of a lot of laps, and we finally got him. So that was a really nice one. Watching a replay here, the aerial camera, what a nice camera angle. Watch that move to the inside, And I just want to see his line here. So he almost turns into us like that Audi did on, I believe, lap 2. And yeah, he just doesn't have the grip or the speed to stick it around the outside and keep it. So onto the main straight now. It looks like he's going to be pretty close behind. Going to have to watch his fight back on the main straight into turn 1. It looks like he might be a little too far back to make anything serious happen. He could have a little look down the inside. But we're just going to have to see if he's going to go for it. Luckily, he's too far back, and we can make it through here without any problem. So that is probably going to be the last car we can pass this race. Into 5th position now. Definitely a really good recovery from starting 16th on the grid. Sort of a disappointing qualifying session, but you know, luckily we can make up those places back and score points. So we're gonna have to check the standings after this race to see, you know, where the driver and the team standings are. But yeah, definitely pleased with this one. Luckily, not really too much contact besides that incident at turn 1, but it's also, you know, turn 1 at Monza, so a little bit of contact is to be expected. But about to cross the line, weaving around, and that is race over. P5 finish is definitely a really good recovery. So after a couple bad races in a row, it's nice to be back into a pretty decently scoring points position. So pretty pleased with that one overall. All right, so that's going to do it. P5 finish after P16 on the grid. Checking the standings right now. So currently in the drivers standings, we are in first place, or tied for first and second, I should say. As for team standings, we are only ahead by 1 point. I believe there's only 4 or maybe 3 rounds to go. So it's going to be a very, very tight finish to this championship. Hopefully more pole positions, more wins in the future, hopefully more podiums even. We were fighting for those earlier in the season, and unfortunately they've kind of slipped away from us, but it's nice to get some momentum back after this race. It was a very good result and a pretty good recovery, and I felt pretty good about this one. So if you made it this far, thank you for watching. I appreciate it, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one.